Happy to be here. We'll chat more once you see the film. But my main reason for making this film is because 5 years ago at an Ishanya Mall in Pune, I'm from Pune, I saw a bunch of little kids and they were all having these cochlear implants, and they were there for a sound and light show. And just seeing their reactions to the sound and to various things that happened on the screen was fascinating, and I started researching, and this was about 5 years ago. And I thought, since I'm a documentary filmmaker by profession, I thought I would make a film on it. And so that's how long it takes to get funds, which is the worst part about making documentaries in this country. But finally I made it, and last year I spent about 7-8 months to find the right children, to research, and then start shooting. And so then I'll chat more once you see the film. Very, very happy to be here. Thank you, Parmesh.
Hi, a very moving and inspiring account.
Thank you.
Couple of questions.
Yeah.
First, a simple one. There were two shots that showed children jumping on a mini trampoline. Does the trampoline have any significance here?
No.
Okay. All right, I'll move to the next question, which is somewhere towards the end, the narrator said that the child will probably never be able to speak like a normal person.
Yeah. That's because she was implanted when she was 12. In fact, there are 3 or 4 main messages which I wanted to give through the film. That is why I chose 4 different children. Initially, when I wanted to make this film, just to tell people that there is an option which is available, and it's the only one in the 5 senses. There is some research on bionic eye as well, but it's not yet FDA approved. So this is the only one of your senses where if you don't have it, it can be replaced. But the message that I wanted to give was the earlier you implant, like maybe 1.5-year-old Arav or even Advait or Chinmay, the much better chances you have of success, and completely normal. When you talk to Advait today, he's 3 years post-implant, he's completely normal. With Snehal, what happened is that her father only got to know very late. So she was studying in that deaf and dumb school in Kopagaon, and because she's implanted so late, that part of her brain which could have absorbed, the younger you implant, the brain is very plastic, and so it's able to absorb quicker. So that the audiologist also explains that you hear with your brain, not really with your ears. So these were like the 3 or 4 main messages in the film, that you implant early, you have committed parents who will take the child, and you have regular therapy, you have realistic expectations. So this, in various ways, I just wanted to convey that. So Sneha will never be able to speak as normally as Advait speaks, or Chinmay or Arav, because she's implanted late.
Do children who receive an implant undergo some form of speech therapy?
Yes, for a year. For a year. In fact, ideally it's for 3 years. So initially, when I wanted to concentrate on one child and do the entire journey, like I started with Snehal pre-implant, but then I've had to leave her. Maybe 3 months after switch on, I had to stop, because otherwise I would have gone on filming for 3 years. And that's why I decided to take 4 different children at different stages. So from Snehal, who started off in the deaf and dumb school, from there to Arav, who had about 3-4 months post-implant, to Chinu, who was 1.5 years, to Advait, who was 3 years. So that then you can give the whole gamut.
Thank you.
If you have a question, raise your hand. Yeah.
Hi. Out of curiosity, the CI, for both the years, or it is only with 1 year? And
you can have it for both the years. It's just that you have to be able to afford it. Other than Arav, the other parents were all, their monthly income is less than 5,000 a month. So they could just about afford to do 1 year.
And for both years, I guess it is more from the way one perceives sound, from a benefit perspective, rather than anything else.
Yes. And now you also have like a more advanced version. The companies have come with something called Neptune, which is a water resistant thing. So the child can go into the pool, go into the rain, you don't have to worry about it. Otherwise, see, the parents of CI children, they always have these issues. You have to keep recharging batteries, you have to make sure the child doesn't go out in the rain, the implant doesn't get wet. with a waterproof implant, so they will keep having these advancements, and they can avail of that.
Yeah, I can.
The main part is the cost. The prohibitive factor in this cochlear implant surgery, that it is very costly, because it is, as yet it's done by companies abroad. So in India, as soon as it is done in India, the hope is that the cost will be much lower, and then it will be freely available. Because as the fact file said in the beginning of the film, only 3% deaf and dumb children have access to school. So you can just imagine, it is such a crippling disability, and there is a solution. So, if it is just more cost effective, or if there are donors who are willing to, sort of help out, then that's it. And lots of companies do it as part of their CSR. And otherwise, of course, you have trust like the Dora Tata Trust, the Ratan Tata Trust, and the government also is supposed to give, such children. But I was asking the parents, and some of them said, yeah, Awaaz's father told me. 3 years ago, he was supposed to get 50,000 rupees, he's still waiting for it. And Awaaz ka implant ho gaya, it's all done, finished. So, yeah.
Thank you.
Excuse me, ma'am.
Questions, yeah.
Ma'am, my child is recently cochlear implanted.
Oh, wonderful.
And I
Wonderful.
wanted to share my opinion,
Yes.
my feelings.
Yes. Hello, everyone.
I'm Aarti Mehta. My son's name is Mohit Mehta. He is 2 years and 10 months old. He is recently implanted in month of June. And we came across this problem in month of January. Though we are little bit late, but it's not too late. And regarding this film, it's appropriately very touching. It was very difficult to accept that, okay, this disability is happened with my child. I never expected. But still, my family support are always with me. And apart from that, Mohit is a very bright child. I mean, everybody loves in therapy center. And we would like to implant as early as possible. So we didn't want to waste the time. So within the 6 months of the after knowing this problem, we decided to implant, and Dr. Milind Kirtane did his operation in Hinduja Hospital, and we are taking therapy right now at Awaaz Institute, National Institute, and at there. Dr. Anuradha, she is an audiologist, and she is taking care of all mapping and other part of the that is AVT, audiovisual therapy, which is taken by Kavi. I mean, regarding his progress, initially he didn't recognize this doorbell sound or any type of soft sound. I was calling behind his. But he never turned back. But after his switch on, as and when doorbell rings, he immediately rushes to open the door, and he identified the sound of, oh, dad is coming, or grandfather is coming, anyway. And really, this is a nice and touching movie, and thanks that you are spreading awareness. Actually, this is the most important thing, that we are not aware of the problem. Okay, I mean, is it possible that this could be happening with our child? The main reason is the lack of awareness, and don't delay in this problem. The main, message that I want to spread is don't delay.
In fact, that is why we are tying up with places like Children's Film Society of India with Amol Gupte, and he has said he's going to show it in districts. So I'm going to do a Marathi dub, and anyway 80% is Marathi because the children are from the villages. So I'm going to do a Marathi dub, and then it's going to be shown in districts so that people get to know of the option.
Exactly. And Mohit is using the latest processor, that is Neptune CP910. I want to show his processor things so that you can have idea.
it's attached with this battery. And this is the magnet. And the one magnet is inside this gun. So it's fixed with this. And we have to charge this battery on regular basis. Apart from that, we can have the extra battery, which are having two battery cells. Whenever you require that battery, you can use that. And this is its remote. So you can have idea whether the battery is finished, whatever, if the coil is fallen down from the head, you can have idea from that. Just want to share one thing that's why I'm here.
Thank you very much.
I wouldn't know about the other centers. I only know about this one because I spent 8 months there and sort of became friends with the therapists and all, and they all said we are like family because they watch the child from before they do the assessment before she goes in for the surgery, he or she, and then they stay on for 1.5 years. So I found them absolutely very, very loving, and I attended so many sessions to get the right children, to just see for my candidates for my film, that I did not ever see any of the therapists get angry, because it's not, what I've shown you is just one part of it, but the child is cranky, sometimes doesn't want to take part, sometimes just refuses to do any therapy. So it must need, humongous amount of patience to have a job like this and to, have, so that's why they don't take more than 5 patients in a day, because otherwise they won't be doing justice to it. So tremendous amount of patience. So yeah, yes.
I'm Dr. Bora. I think one of the deterrent for this is the cost.
Yes.
And I think we need NGOs or something,
Yes, absolutely.
just to help out.
You are absolutely right.
I mean, bypass cost around 2.5, but this is something which is very huge.
True.
And I think we need some indigenous innovation.
Absolutely. It's only the fact that because the companies are all based abroad and in India nobody is doing it, that is why the reason, because actual surgery and therapy costs are not much. It's the implant cost which is a lot. I totally agree with you. So again, that will happen with awareness. And the more one sort of writes about it or makes films or have it seen, because this is an invisible disability. The child is not going to tell you it's deaf. The parents will find out by the time he's 2.5. So it's not.
Which was the earliest age they had previously?
This particular thing, I think Arab is among the earliest, 1.5 years. Yeah, below 1 year they don't normally.
Another thing which I wanted to say was that there are so many. Documentaries. This good document is like this. It's a wonderful one. They should be shown in all the cinema halls or this thing. So that the wider audience gets.
Sure.
That should be done somewhere.
See, that again is a suggestion Amol Gupte has said that CFSI is going to help to have like a theatrical thing. But you know how it is in India when people who are going in to see an entertaining film, unless I really condense it and make a 10-minute version maybe, and in this case you won't get the essence of it. But still, I'll still do it. So it's been shown on television. In fact, tomorrow and day after, CNN IBN is showing a shorter version of this film. 1:30 tomorrow and 3:30 on Sunday. So I will try my best to reach out and show it to as many people as possible. But I completely agree with you. If the cost is brought down, then it's like a huge thing that one will be able to do.
There's one here.
Being a language teacher, when I started learning Indian languages, then somebody told me, okay, enough now, you have to start learning foreign languages. When I did that, one day I felt I actually was watching from my terrace, where I live in Thane, opposite station, there used to be a group of 6-7 people who used to communicate with each other in sign language. So I started thinking I haven't learned enough because I am not able to talk to those who cannot talk and cannot listen. So I started to learn sign language. I didn't reach much success due to many reasons. But then I started thinking that okay, I am not of help to these people. So after watching this, I feel that okay, now I can, because at the end of that implant, we always keep on hearing, in lot of movies end with this sentence, this is not the end and this is the beginning. Here I really felt that this implant is not the end. This is the beginning, because whether it is a 3-year-old child or a 5-year or 8-year-old child, now he will start hearing those words, Chanda Mama and Chandu ki Chachi, whatever you want to teach him, that is when you start. So that is the beginning of his speech.
Yes, absolutely.
So I have just one request, if you could let me know how I can be of help, because I'm a linguist and I've done phonetics in Mumbai University. So if I can be of help, anybody free of cost, I can, within Mumbai at least, I can go help the doctors, help the people, to, help the students, children with their language.
Very nice. That's very nice of you. Thank you so much. I'll put you in touch with the NGO.
Once there's a question here, actually, she's been waiting. Okay, and then pass it on to her.
Hello.
Yes.
It was a wonderful documentary film.
Thank you.
Okay, my question is, does this implant need a replacement after a few years, or is it a permanent one?
No, it's permanent. What is implanted inside is permanent. You can change the processor. Like she's got a Neptune processor.
Okay.
So in fact, that's the biggest advantage that the surgeon.
Duration, we need to change.
No, that is up to you. Like suppose you have a normal processor, and then there is this new technology of Neptune, which she has, which is a waterproof processor. Then you have to just switch to that. And of course, you have to pay the cost, whatever the extra additional cost is. Neptune is more expensive, but yeah. But otherwise, no. Inside, the child doesn't have to go into surgery again.
Thank you.
Good evening everyone. Myself Dr. Reena. I am an occupational therapist. So I want to share my inputs from a therapy point of view.
Yes.
So basically here someone asked initially what is the significance of trampoline. Like you asked initially. I would like to share. Trampoline is a part of play therapy what we use in a rehabilitation of autistic children, hyperactive children, and also it has been used in a rehab of a movement disorder child. Now basically what happens after a cochlear implant or any vestibular imbalance. So usually kids have a problem in understanding space, movement. They have a lot of difficulty in understanding what is there in their surroundings, so they are not able to relate. So what with the play therapy and because this is the only medium with which you can treat children. So vestibular therapy and trampoline is a part of therapy where the movement is being gained, and there is a vestibular vibrations are there where the children understand his relation with the space and his environment. He understands his body positioning in between the space. So it is trampoline is a very important part of a therapy post cochlear implant. So from a therapy point of view.
Thank you.
And also I would just like to share I am being a part of early intervention treatment and diagnosis for many of the pediatricians since 1 year, past 1 year in Pune. Many centers were there, usually treating autistic children and early developmental problems. So if you need any cases or any experiences from parents or anything, you can definitely help me.
Sure.
Happy to help you out.
Wonderful. Thank you so much. Such generous offers here. Wonderful. Really, so sweet.
I have 3 short questions.
Yeah.
One, how does one get to know that a child, a 1-year-old child or somebody is having this problem? Are there some symptoms or some signs?
See, like what they're doing in KEM hospital in Pune, there is screening for newborn babies today, which exists.
Okay.
So that's the first thing you should do. I mean, it's compulsory in KEM. I'm not sure the other hospitals have it. Dr. Pura and all will know. But that's one way of doing it. So there are various tests. The cochlear implant is the last step. I mean, if your child does not require an implant and can be helped with a hearing aid, so there are various steps much before cochlear implant. And there are several tests as well. First, of course, is the screening test of even newborn babies.
Okay, but if let's say you had not done the test during that time, and
you can do it again. You can do it again.
Okay.
The tests are very much there. Any audiologist will be able to tell you. Any ENT person will be able to tell you. There's a whole series of tests. Bera test is the first. So she will also know your person sitting next to you. She'll be able to tell you.
Thanks. And typically, let's say deaf children are also not able to speak. Is it because that they don't know the voices, they've not heard it, and that's why they're not able to speak?
Yes.
And that's how therapy helps?
Yes.
Okay. And you said you are actually, your profession is to make documentaries.
Yes.
What are the other documentaries you have made?
I've made 35.
Oh, and with some causes, as in like...
They're all causes. They're all causes, but they're also mostly related to human rights, and this is a purely social message film which I have made. But otherwise I make films on human rights violations, on Dr. Binayak Sen, on various issues, women empowerment.
So we can see it on YouTube or on some channel?
You can see it tomorrow on CNN IBN. They're showing the same film, a shorter version, on CNN IBN at 1:30 tomorrow and 3:30 on Sunday. The other films, no, I don't put them on YouTube because then I prefer to have screenings and then engage with audiences. But if permission be kind, we will have more screenings of other films here if you like.
Minnie's also worked with a corporate world which she doesn't like to talk about.
Yeah.
Tell us about that experience.
Yeah, all the profit estimators and all the profit estimators and the SWOT analysis and profit after tax and ROCE and all these things which to my mind were bad words. They're still bad words. The MBA to my mind is a gali. So excuses to everybody who's an MBA here. But they tortured me for that 1.5 years in a corporate. So.
Yeah, sorry, I just had a question.
You can still I still have friends with MBAs.
What I was asking is these prosthetics they can be applicable for older people who are hard of hearing. And the second question was you mentioned that about bionic eyes. Now, if such stuff is indigenized for the defense services for people who get disabled, so as a byproduct, couldn't indigenization be as in used for other social causes? What I'm saying is, if it is for a larger, say, corporate industry, military complex sort of thing, as in, I'm talking about for the defense services, if people get disabled, and if you do something for those guys, the army medical corps does something, so couldn't that indigenization be used for social causes then?
No, certainly it could. But to answer your first question, the longer version of this film, there's a 44-minute version of this film, had a case of an adult. This was a 31-year-old lady who used to hear perfectly fine, then she had an accident and she lost her hearing. And for 6 years, she went to every possible doctor and not doctor. First, of course, she went to the medical doctors and they told her that you will have to do an implant because it's, you can't repair it otherwise. And she didn't want to do that. So for about 6 years, she went to all the babas and, everywhere trying to get some kind of help. And when that didn't work out, then she had an implant. So she was implanted and I interviewed her and she's absolutely doing well because, of course, she has memory of her speech and everything that she did. So now she's fine, and her mother, I remember her mother telling me that she can hear fine, it's all well. The only problem now is we want to get her married. And any person who comes, and the minute they see the thing, they think, oh, this is and she tries to tell them, look, it's like spectacles. Take off your specs and you will be not be able to see. So it's just like that. But, she said in the interview, and I remember the Marathi, Koni ye tak snai. But fortunately, I'm happy to tell you, 3 months ago, she found somebody and she is married and they invited me to the wedding, and so that was a good thing. About the second part of your thing, see, indigenous, if they're able to make this here, and not just for the defense services, and not just the Army Medical Corps, for everybody it will be a great help. So I don't know who to approach to do this because I am a documentary filmmaker, I'm not an activist, but that's really the best way out. Yes? Yeah.
Hi everyone, I'm Vibha here from Audit Charitable Trust. I'm a parent with a bilateral implanted child, and I also run Vikrant Enterprises, which is doing business with cochlear, distributor of cochlear. To answer this gentleman's question,
Yes.
The Army Medical Hospital in Navy Nagar that we have in Mumbai, and in Pune also, I believe there is a military hospital.
Yes.
They do implants and government pays for that.
Oh,
So
okay.
that was the defense part I think the government is looking at.
Right. Wonderful. I didn't know that. That's good. Thank you.
Yeah, that's one thing. And one thing, the oldest person, as far as I know, has been 65 years old.
Yes. Yes.
In Mumbai.
So if you are, not only as accident, even illness, if you have mumps and you lose your hearing, this is an option. And for those type of people, it's a very good option because they already have their speech, so they will be able to do it. Somebody like Sneha, who for 12 years had nothing, she was just blank, and then she does it, okay, her speech will be affected.
I think the key word there is the realistic expectation.
Absolutely, absolutely.
I think that's the key.
Absolutely. Absolutely. In fact, what the audiologist says is that just after switch on, don't go around, pushing sound, just go and keep doing that to test, is she hearing or not, is she hearing or not. Let it happen peacefully. And in all I must have interviewed, I don't know, more than 100 parents at least before I finalized on these children. So many parents told us that we spent all this money and then the child would not react, and we had sleepless nights till one day we give them a sound and it reacts and they said, okay, it's working. So yeah, realistic expectations is a very big thing.
So when Sujit had a question and while it goes there,
That's not answer. I wanted to ask you, what is the upper age for
I think she said 65 mein ho chuka hai. But my mother is hard of hearing and we are all telling her to do it, but she's 77 and I don't think that if there is no age limit. You can do it. It's a perfectly safe operation. It takes an hour and a half. No. And even when they walk into security and your airport security, nothing, no signal, nothing. It's fine. She'll be
what
also
about excessive noise pollution?
Sorry?
Excessive noise pollution.
Does
it get affected?
No, I don't think so. But you see, in some of the research I was doing about cases abroad, there was this old couple who got it done, and they said, whenever we want to enjoy each other's company, we just take off the implant. And then we just sit and, we sit with each other. It's an old couple, 73 plus.
What in places where there is a huge speaker or something like that, with very magnetic...
No.
Cut-off volume is there.
Yeah.
At 10.
Ma'am, in this documentary there was one part which spoke about the clearance test. So can you elaborate upon what are those clearance tests like and what are the factors which determine whether a subject is eligible to have that operation or not?
Yeah, those are actually very technical questions. So there's a whole list. When you go in for this surgery, the operating team you have to go in for MRI first of all. That's to see whether your cochlea is implantable or not. And then there's a whole range of other things. See, the thing is, in the longer film it's there, some of these children also have autistic attached to them. Some of them have, sight issues. And those were not such great success stories, which is there in the longer film because I wanted to show that there are all sides. So you have to work twice as hard. It's not that you will not get success, but it will take longer. So so that they tell you. So if your child IQ tests are done, those are the very important. So usme agar already if it's there that there is some level of I don't think retardation is the right word here, but mentally autism. Then they tell you that yes, this is there. It's not that you can't implant the child, but your progress rate will be slower than the other child. So that's all.
There was a question that.
You had a question.
You mentioned your reservations about, or you have, I don't know, some reservations about YouTube. But this is a message that needs to reach out to
I think so. I think I'll do that. Yeah, I think I'll do that.
So,
yeah. That after tomorrow's screening, I think I'll do that. It's a good suggestion. They have also said that.
Just like vaccination, government should have some kind of basic information
Yeah. See, I'm willing to give this DVD to anybody who wants it. I'm willing to have screening anywhere.
Dr. Kirtan message, he he wants it.
Okay. So anybody can just take it. You can show it. If I'm in Bombay, I'll come for it. If I'm traveling, then you're absolutely free. And his point is well taken. I will put it up on YouTube. That is, I think, the fastest way of doing it.
So now that's going to be the second last question, and then after that we'll have more, and then we'll all go down. There's snacks, and we can all attack Minnie and stuff.
Sure.
A lot more questions over there.
Sure.
So over there.
Hello ma'am. Good evening everyone. My name is Kasturi. I am working as a lecturer in Hashu Advani College of Special Education. I have done my M.Ed in Special Education, Hearing Impairment, and my area of PhD research is early identification and early intervention and school readiness of children with hearing impairment. So I would like to share my views about the whole concept of early intervention. The important thing is intervention, what it means. Intervention refers to management of child identified with hearing loss. But there is another important word which is early. So how early is the main important thing when it comes to using amplification devices and starting this intervention for children with hearing impairment. Okay. So again there is a theory which says that 0 to 3 years is called as a period of critical period of language acquisition. So within this period, human brain is neurobiologically planned to acquire language through listening. So without any efforts, a child who is having hearing will acquire language through listening. So that is why we have to make use of this period, critical period of language acquisition, even for children having hearing loss. So any amplification device, whether it is a normal hearing aid or an implant, that has to be intervened within the period of 0 to 3 years, so that he can make maximum use of his residual hearing. This is first important point. Next is that in US we have this universal newborn screening. So what happens is that every child who is born, newborn baby, he is screened for his hearing loss. According to Joint Committee on Infant Hearing, any child who has a hearing loss, he has to be screened at the age of 1 month. He should get his amplification, whether it is hearing aid or cochlear implant, at the age of 3 months. And the intervention, like in this documentary, the therapy which is shown is called as auditory verbal therapy. So it should rightly begin at the age of 6 months. Okay, but in India, in the absence of this universal newborn screening, what happens is that the parents are the first who identify symptoms of hearing loss. And it is when the child doesn't speak, the parents feel that the child has some problem. At that time, the age of the child is almost above 3 years of age. And that is why in our country, the age of early intervention ranges somewhere between 3 to 6 years of age.
Well, the KM hospital in Pune is doing screening of all newborn babies.
Yes,
so I think they may try it in other places also.
Yes,
check that. Yes.
So appears it's not a hearing problem but more with the brain. Can you explain it?
No, that's a medical explanation. It will take some time. I think a doctor will be more qualified to explain that.
Okay. Is that okay? That's going to be
Thank you so much.